Welcome to DJ Music Store. This video discusses the many factors that go into what determines how the violin will sound. There are many factors that go into how a violin will sound, or the tone. These include the type of wood used to make the violin, or the different parts of the violin, the age of the tree that the wood came from, where the wood was grown, the craftsmanship of the violin maker, the setup of the violin, the type of strings that are used, and of course, the violinist's style of playing. There are several different types of wood that can be used to make the violin. One type of wood is maple, and usually this is used for the back, the ribs. For those of you who don't know what the ribs are, that's the outer edge pieces, the neck, and the scroll. Spruce wood is used for the top, blocks, linings, bass bar, and the sound post of the violin. It is a lightweight wood, but it can be very strong and flexible. And even though there are differing opinions about this, many believe that the quality of sound is more affected by the top rather than the back pieces of the violin or any other parts of the violin. Instead of spruce, sometimes willow is used for the blocks and linings. Ebony is used for the fingerboard and the fittings, such as the pegs, tailpiece, and end pin. It is the strongest of all light woods. It's known for being a dense hardwood with beauty and superior resistance to wear. Sometimes boxwood or rosewood is substituted just because they're easier to find. Older, more mature trees have greater flexibility and resonance. And it's not just the age of the tree that will affect the tone, but also the density of the wood. Where the tree was grown is also important for the tone of the violin. The best wood is from trees that were grown in high altitudes, which generally inhibit the growth of the tree. These trees tend to be much more stronger and flexible. And you'll see, if you would cut the tree, that the grain lines are closer together. This wood tends to have a more resonant sound. The thickness of the wood, particularly on the top and back parts of the violin, are most influential for setting the tone of the violin. The tone of the violin is also influenced by the craftsmanship of the violin maker. His level of skill and experience, or even his access to the appropriate types of wood, is going to influence how the violin will sound. Also, his crafting of the arch shape of the violin, which is generally different on each piece on each instrument, will also influence its sound. How the sound post is positioned inside the violin can affect the sound, and the shaping of the bridge and nut to the correct height and width and fit on the body also affects the sound. Different brands of strings can give different tones, and even putting the same strings on one violin can give you a different tone if you placed it on another violin, especially since each violin has its own unique tone. There are 3 different types of strings that can give different sounds. One type is the gut strings. They have a warm, rich tone with complex overtones. They do require more tuning though, and more frequently. The smaller strings have a brighter sound, and the thicker strings are more powerful with a gritty sound. Steel core strings have a direct, clear tone with few overtones. They are more stable in pitch, and they're more brighter sounding. The last type of string is the synthetic core strings. These are made from nylon or other composite materials. They have a warm sound with a more stable pitch, but they do need more tuning, especially with weather changes. Another important piece to remember is that tune is also affected by the strings, which should also have the same volume on all 4 strings. There are differing opinions about whether varnish affects the tone or not. The overlaying varnish will protect the violin from any perspiration, moisture, dirt, or other injurious factors that can harm the violin's sound. Varnish itself will contribute only a small amount to the overall tone. However, keep in mind that if there's a hard and heavy coat of poor varnish, that can hinder the instrument from responding well. Underneath the varnish, on top of the wood, there is a ground layer. This penetrates and strengthens the wood. The ground layer does help transmit sound better, as it absorbs unwanted higher frequency vibrations from either the strings or the bow. And of course, the violinist can have a strong influence on the tone. Their playing level or experience and their listening ear will all have an effect on the way the violin sounds. There are also devices that can help with changing the tone or sound of the violin, and these include a tuning fork. You can use a pitch pipe or an electronic tuner to make a better, improved sound with your violin. I hope this has helped in your understanding of violin tone and what affects it. If you are in need of a violin or other instruments such as woodwind, brass, percussion, or other string instruments, then you can check us out at www.djmusicstore.co. Thank you so much for viewing this video, and have a great day.